time, man. Really appreciate it. So, looking forward to seeing you back down under in Australia. It's when was the last time you were down here?
It's been a while. I did that AC/DC tribute thing with an orchestra there, where Simon and I did, and James, it was really a lot of fun. We did some shows, but solo, it's been a while solo for me as well. So hopefully next time I come back, it'll be a solo tour. But this is going to be really a lot of fun. This is just one of those fun shows that everybody can come out and have a good time.
Yeah, definitely. So what sort of sparked the idea to kind of do the Judas Priest and Dio kind of thing?
Well, I think James was the head. He had this in his brain. When I did the show with the orchestra, we did a local show there. I did a local show, and they backed me up, and we jammed, and Simon was on drums, and it was really good. It was a lot of fun. And I think James has been thinking about that ever since. I think this probably obviously would have happened earlier if it wasn't for COVID.
Yeah.
But James had been talking about doing different shows, whether it was me getting there and doing a solo thing or whatever. And then he just finally said, "Hey, listen, I got an idea. Let's get Simon and you, and we'll do, half Dio, half Priest. It's, we got a couple songs from my era in the set. It's a lot different set than my solo set, because I do a lot of, my stuff and things. But and the Dio stuff, we got Rainbow and Sabbath. Yeah, it was really James. James spearheaded it, and he's taking care of it. It's all his baby, really.
Yeah, cool. No, it's obviously a lot of the old school metal fans are going to be right into this stuff, because obviously Priest and Dio, I mean, legendary stuff. Obviously, Priest has obviously got a huge relationship with that band, but with Dio, tell us a bit about what your connection is with Dio and stuff over the years.
Well, I sang for Dio Disciples, which was Ronnie's band, after he passed away, and Ronnie and I were friends. Wendy was my manager forever, Wendy Dio. So really, there's a connection, and Ronnie was a big influence of mine and a big hero. And he said he was just such a great guy. I mean, there's never anybody like him, vocally and personally. But there's that connection. And we did the hologram tour, and we did the Dio Disciples for a long time. And so there's that connection. And the main connection with it really is also Simon. Obviously, he was not only was he Ronnie's drummer for years there, and he was Ronnie's roommate for years. So I mean, it's kind of like so he lived with Ronnie up until the day he passed. And so there's a big connection, sentimental and Simon loves to come there. He obviously being the drummer for AC/DC for a while, and Dio. So it's a perfect tour for us.
Yeah, no, it's looking forward to seeing this. And obviously, putting together a show and a set list and all that kind of stuff. I mean, how difficult is that, given that there's so much classic stuff to pull from?
Yeah, it's difficult, especially as a singer, and you got to sing Dio, so it's kind of difficult. Yeah. The Priest part of the tour is closer to my vocals and my style, and some of them I wrote with them, and it's just a big difference. And then you got to do Ronnie, so you got to pick them carefully, because you can't do everything you want to do, because you still got to think about, you're doing maybe 10 songs of each band. So you really got to try to put a set together that you can be strong through, because the difference with Ronnie's stuff is it'll tear me down more. It'll because he's got a really high natural voice, and there's no hiding stuff. You really got to go at it, balls out, and so it'll break me down more. So but it's hard, but we tried to pick Rainbow's tune and Sabbath, and James was he's like, let's do this, and I'm like, oh man, that. And it's funny, because on the opposite side, doing the Priest stuff, it's like, let's do this. I'm like, well, we're gonna do songs I don't want to do, like You Got Anything Coming. I mean, I don't want to do that. I don't put that in my solo set, but on these kind of shows, you need these songs, because you're getting fans from both sides.
Yeah.
And you want to do a show that, again, if someone wants to see me do a solo show, I'll come back and they'll hear a lot of the Priest stuff. I just now put out a brand new solo single that just came out, called Embattled. It just came out, and Jamie Josta produced it. So, I could do songs like that, or KK's Priest, or, a lot of my era stuff. But when you're doing this is all about fun. So you got to put songs in there that everybody knows and wants to sing along with, you know.
Yeah, and obviously with the many different projects that you're involved with as well. I mean, catering those set lists for different situations is also a task in on of itself as well. I mean, how do you sort of process that whole thing depending on the situation?
Well, you kind of read it ahead of time, you know. I mean, um, and also being out of the scene for a little bit here because of COVID. You know, I just did a tour in Latin America, about 15 shows, and it wasn't as crazy a set list as I usually do, but it still had KK's Priest and had about 5 of my era songs and different things. You just read it, and you know when you're coming to a festival or you're coming to a tour like this. This tour is about celebrating Ronnie and Priest and doing it as more of a tribute kind of fashion. You know, it's not. Yes, Simon was in Dio and I was in Priest, but it's not just about that. It's about the night in whole. You know, it's the night in a whole and making everybody enjoy it and have fun. You know, so it's you always have to change. If I'm going and playing some, you know, small city and jumping up on stage and doing 6 songs with some band, I'll pick like easy songs and everybody will know them because they probably don't want to hear me play Burn in Hell, which actually I did just play this city and I picked 5 songs and I did do Burn in Hell from the Jugular record. So I know the people out in the countryside was like, what is this? Oh my good Lord. You know, I want to hear Breaking the Law, not Burning Hell.
Yeah. Now, obviously, like last time we chatted a few years back, we talked about the fact that you are one of those guys that are so much involved in so many different creative projects and stuff. And I was curious, like, was this something that you've always been like, you know, even as a person, as a child or whatever, or like, was this something that sort of came as you were sort of going into the music industry over the years?
Well, I think the music industry's changed a lot. You know, I mean, you almost have to do this. People say to me, "Why don't you do one band?" And it's like, well, then you'd have to work a 9 to 5 job, and you know, you can't. You know, unless you, it's hard to do that nowadays, especially when you're older and you have, you know, commitments and bills, and you have, you know, to pay things out. It's harder to do that. So, but in this day and age, you can do a lot. I mean, I record so much, especially when COVID hit. That's really when that really opened up. I mean, I record every day. I recorded a song today for somebody. I recorded a different song yesterday, but you know, I'd love to. And that's a big thing about doing this new solo record and just calling it Ripper and trying to rebrand it a little bit. It's a lot heavier than my other stuff, but that's trying to start going that way. It's this new record's a pretty big deal because I'm trying to, you know, KK's Priest is going to be the main thing if I'm asked to do that and do a tour or doing a record. That's going to take first priority, but second priority is going to be the Ripper project. And Jamie Just is getting all kinds of you know, interest in dates and festivals. So, but it's, you know, you got to make a living. And what I always tell people when they say, well, you need to do one band, or they give me suggestions, they give me advice. I love that people give me advice on how to write music and how to do my career. And I'm thinking, you guys, what have you done? You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's always coming from people who haven't really accomplished a lot in their life, and they're trying to give you advice for someone who's accomplished a lot in their life. You know, it's so strange.
Yeah, and maybe they, you know, maybe they're a doctor. But I'm not telling them what my ideas of how to be a better doctor. You know, or a surgeon. Oh, you're a surgeon. Well, here's what I think you should hold the scalpel this way. I don't know why you're, you know, that's But anyways, you know, I just like to do these things, and I always tell people I'm a musician. This is a different era. Everybody does different super bands and all-star bands and guest appearances. I'm a musician, and that's how I make my living. So I like to sing, and I sing all kinds of stuff, you know, from rock and roll to rock to hardcore to heavy to you know, 80s style. I mean, that's the way it is.
Yeah. Because I mean, you know, looking through the sort of different things that you've done over the years, I mean, there's a lot of stuff there. And I mean, do you ever sort of look back and go, well, that was really cool. I'd love to do that again. Like, is there any sort of highlights that sort of stand out over the years?
Well, there's all kinds of them. I mean, now I'm making this new solo record, and again, it's heavier. You know, Jamie Johnson and I've been talking about this for probably 10 years. He's been putting in my ear, let's redo this, let's do this, let's get closer to a Jugulator, Beyond Fear kind of stuff. And but I love, you know, Beyond Fear, you know, Charred Walls of the Damned, Tourniquet. I did this record with a band called Tourniquet. That was fun. I mean, I like to do a lot of stuff. I look back on those records and it was great, and um, so it's nice to, I haven't done a Charred Walls in a Damned record in a while, and I get asked that a lot. Yeah. I haven't done a Beyond. I did one Beyond Fear record, and that was a long time ago, and I get asked that the most. But probably this will appease the new solo Ripper album. Will end up appeasing the people who like Beyond Fear. I think it's not any screaming high notes throughout the whole thing. It's just pretty much balls out. I mean, the first single that came out, people was like, "Man, this is heavy. I hope." I wonder if there's gonna be a ballad. I'm like, there's no ballads. This one pretty much gets heavier as it goes on. So what you just heard is the second. Is only 6 songs on the EP, and it's the second mellowest song. This one that I just released, the Embattled song. So,
cool. And when do you think we'll be able to see the full release then?
I think we're shooting for the EP to come out end of October. We'll keep building it and doing some teasers and doing a couple singles along the way. I know we're going to do one more at least.
Yeah.
And so we're going to keep pushing it. People just need to check all my social media pages, Instagram, Facebook official, and Twitter, and you can, figure out what's going on.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I follow you on Twitter actually, but there's a lot of stuff on Twitter that you don't really see on a lot of the other social media platforms. I noticed as well, like a lot of politics and things like that. It's interesting. Yeah. Like as a musician, how do you find that social media stuff now? Because it's so prevalent compared to what it was like, back in the day. I mean, are you an active sort of social media guy, or?
I am active. I try not to do too much political because anyway, whatever you say, you're going to lose. So. Yeah. I mean, Twitter's got a lot of Twitter doctors and YouTube doctors on there that know everything on what to do. And they got a lot of people on what I should be wearing on stage and acting and doing it. And they're all political, and that's all they know. I always look at politics as just whatever it is, left or right. I tend to lean with common sense, so I don't talk about it too much on there. I might like a post every now and then or something like that, but I don't usually post political stuff just because. I mean, I have in the past, but even if you do it one time, it stays with you for a long time. If someone doesn't like it, and it's not even bad. You could say anything, and it's just like, man, oh man, I mean, it's crazy.
I mean, do you think that all the arguments and the divisions and stuff that's happening at the moment, do you think that's always been there? It's just been highlighted more because of the internet and social media?
Well, it's probably always been there, but social media has definitely just put it over the top. I mean, you didn't sit around at family functions and even probably know what someone was voting. Yeah. I mean, you didn't know what your friends were voting. Now all of a sudden they go, "Oh, you're voting that," and I'm like, you might have been, or it's just nowadays it's totally different. Yeah, it's really just the social media has just divided it. The politicians have divided it. I mean, it's the media has totally divided it, and they've divided it with hate, which is the strangest thing of all. I mean, it'd be so easy if they could just come together and say, listen, you don't have to agree, but you don't have to agree with me, but you don't have to send me death threats, wishing my family die if you don't agree with me. And that's the kind of stuff that actually happens, Yeah.
It's crazy. So do you have any last words at all for the Aussie fans before you come down? Anything that fans should be expecting on this tour?
Well, spread the word about it. I mean, spread the word. It's going to be a great time. It's fun. We're going to be on stage having fun. We always do anyways, but the set list is, sing along, have a good time. We're going to, just play all the classics and some great tunes and a great band. And Joel's a shredder on guitar and it's really a great time.
Oh, looking forward to it. Well, thanks for your time, man. Really appreciate it. And as I said, we're looking forward to seeing you back down under again because, as I said, it's been a while. And this new EP that's coming out, looking forward to seeing that as well. I heard the new track the other day, and it's fantastic. And yeah, I think like what everyone else has been saying, it's probably one of the heaviest things that you've been doing. I think so. It's great stuff.
Well, it is. It is. I mean, like I said, I've done it on other projects. But this is, and it's a straightforward a heavy metal record, you know, instead of, you know, so it's right at you.
Awesome, man. Well, look, thanks for your time. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you in Australia in a few months.
Yeah, good to talk to you again, and, you know, make sure you come say hi to me.
Oh, absolutely. We'll try.
All right, buddy.